I'm Troy. Welcome back to Saltown Tavern and another episode of Hunkered Vegans. This is day 479 of quarantine, so we'll be cooking with alcohol again today. And I'm really excited to bring Tara Gontek in to cook a dish for us.
Hello. So today we're going to do an enchilada dish that I do at home often. It's very simple, but also delicious. You can make it from ingredients that you find in your pantry and also at pretty much any local grocery store. They are sweet potato and black bean enchiladas. So we use canned organic black beans and diced roasted sweet potatoes with a really nice chipotle sauce that can be easily made in pretty much any blender. I like it in the Vitamix myself, but it'll come together in any blending tool that you have.
Now, this reminds me of, so Honest Tom's in West Philly used to have, maybe they still do, but they used to have this wonderful sweet potato burrito. Was that an inspiration?
I really drew a lot of inspiration from that because they did recently close, and I was kind of devastated about that because their sweet potato burrito, even before they went fully vegan, that was their cult classic dish. And I really drew inspiration from that because I just love the way sweet potato works in place of a protein. You know, I love my vegan meats too, my seitan and soy curls and all that stuff, but when you can use vegetables in a meat replacement application that is just delicious, it's really great, and it's also so affordable. I mean, sweet potatoes, or yams, actually, technically they're yams, but they're very affordable, and you can find them in any grocery store. They're easy to work with, and you can really make some great stuff happen with them.
And that's what I'm so excited about, and that's what we've been trying to bring you, are recipes that you can easily replicate. All of the ingredients are available here, at least for us locally, in our ShopRite and you know, in the stores that surround us. So we're trying to keep it cheap and quick and delicious, and keep eating, because that's what we've got to do. So this is exciting. Let's go in the kitchen.
Yes. All right, so we're going to start with some peeled diced sweet potatoes, or yams. This is actually 2 large yams, and we're just going to throw these guys in a bowl, and I'm going to hit them with some olive oil, just like a nice glug, just to help get our spices mixed in. So we have about 1.5 teaspoons each of cumin, chili powder, and achiote powder. The achiote you can find at any Mexican grocer or in the international aisle at a lot of grocery stores. If you can't find it, then you can absolutely omit it. I just like it adds like a really nice tangy sort of flavor, and I think that it really helps to wake up the other spices. So we're gonna throw those in. We're gonna hit it with a nice pinch of salt and some freshly ground black pepper, just a few turns, and just let those all get to know each other. Mix it up real nice, and we're gonna put it on our sheet pan, and you wanna make sure that they're not on top of each other, because you're not really gonna get a great roast unless they're kind of spread apart. You know, we're social distancing here, so same thing for our sweet potatoes. We want them to have nice space. You don't want them on top of each other. You know, they're introverted sweet potatoes.
What's the heat level on the achiote powder?
The achiote really doesn't have any real heat. It just adds a little bit of zest. It adds a little bit of tang without acid. So you would use it where you might want the flavor of lime juice, but without that like sharp acidity. We're just going for spice flavor right here. So we're gonna throw this in to a 375 oven, 20 to 35 minutes-ish. Keep an eye on it, stir it halfway, let it get some nice brown color, and we'll see what it looks like when it comes out. All right, so we're gonna make our sauce. And the great thing about these enchiladas is how much flavor the sauce has. So what I've done is I took our cilantro that we're gonna use for garnish later, but I took those ends, and you can use the ends, the stems if you will, as your aromatics in a lot of different dishes. You would almost use them like you would use an onion or garlic. They add some really great flavor to your base. You obviously wouldn't use them to finish, but they're really great for cooking. And we also have 1 yellow onion and 2 to 3 nice sized cloves of garlic and 4 chipotle peppers. So I want to show you, we get the chipotle peppers in adobo. You can get these at every grocery store pretty much around. They are so great. They're super shelf stable. And I love their flavor, but sometimes they can be really aggressive with their heat. So what you want to do is you can cut them open and then just like scoop those seeds out. Just like that. You might lose a little bit of your pepper, but it's not a big deal. Just scoop those seeds out because that's really where the heat lives, in those seeds. So we just take the rest of it. So now I have 4 nice sized chipotle peppers. Most of the seeds are removed, so we're gonna get all the flavor and not all of that heat. And we're ready to throw that in the blender. We also wanna add some lime juice, and whenever you're using limes or lemons or any kind of citrus in a dish, always give it a nice roll to just release those juices, and you can feel how squishy it gets. And that means that the juices are flowing and we're ready to rock. So we're gonna throw this all in the blender. We're gonna squeeze our lime juice. See how much juice is coming out of that just because we did that one little roll. It's gonna be nice and bright. And then we're gonna add a whole can of organic peeled tomatoes. Again, all stuff that you can find in your grocery store. And we're just gonna blend this. Actually, I'm gonna hit it with a little salt and a little pepper, just because we wanna season at every stage. And we're gonna throw it in the blender. If you have a tamping tool, definitely use that. It's gonna get a little noisy. That until it's completely smooth, and that looks pretty damn smooth, but it might be a little on the thick side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it back. We're gonna grab some vegetable broth. So we're gonna turn it back on, not super high, like medium high, and we're just gonna pour a little vegetable broth in there just to thin it out, because when we cook it, it's gonna thicken up. So we want to make sure that we don't over-reduce our sauce, because we don't want those flavors to be over-concentrated, because then that will just be yucky, and that's not delicious. So we have a nice texture of our sauce, and so when our potatoes are done, we're going to mix them with our drained black beans, drained and rinsed, and then you'll see what we do. We have our sweet potatoes out of the oven, and like we said, they're nice and cooked through. Our spices are toasted. We're gonna mix in our black beans. Again, that's 2 cans of organic black beans, strained and rinsed. So we have a nice even mix now, and we're almost done our filling. So we're gonna take a little bit of this sauce that we made just to get it nice and wet, mix it through, because we want our enchiladas to be saucy on the inside and on the outside.
So that maybe half a cup.
About a half a cup. Just, enough to get it all working together. Okay, so that is essentially our enchilada filling. So now we're going to start building our enchiladas. We're ready to start building our enchiladas and getting them into the pan to cook. So what we're using is just some garden variety corn tortillas. Again, every grocery store sells these guys. And we're gonna give them a little dip, just like that, because we don't want them to burn. Because if we put them in dry, it'll burn. Nobody likes that. That's not delicious. So we want to put a nice amount and then just give it a little roll, and then you want to put it seam side down in your pan, just like so. And we're just going to repeat that until we have our pan full. Last one's not going to be perfect fit, but we don't want any bare spots in our pan because then they'll all cook unevenly, and that's not good. So just gonna kind of get that guy in there. Once we have all of our enchiladas in the pan, we're just gonna hit it with a generous coating of that sauce because we want it to bake up and get all moist and delicious and flavorful. Make sure you don't miss those ends, because if the ends are dry, then they're gonna burn and that will not be delicious. So I'm using my hands because it's just for us. If you're serving it for a crowd, you know, you can use utensils. This now is ready to go into the oven. We're gonna cover it with some foil and put it in a 375 degree oven for about 10-15 minutes. Everything's already cooked, so we don't really have to worry too much about the time, but we want it to get nice and hot. We want it to get to know each other in the pan. So we're gonna do it, like I said, like 10-15 minutes with foil, and then we're gonna uncover it for a few more minutes just so we can get some nice bubbly brown flavors going on there as well.
Okay, so I've mixed up a simple salad with the vegetables we've got on hand. We've got tomato, some fresh green bean, mixed greens, cucumber, and red pepper. Excuse me. So when I make a vinaigrette, I like a nice simple vinaigrette that I toss the salad with right before it goes to the table. And I like to repeat some of the elements of the dish we're working with. So I'm going to repeat some of the elements of the enchiladas we're about to have. So I'm going to use fresh lime. We've got 2 smaller limes. We're going to juice right into our vinaigrette. Believe it or not, I did roll this lime, but these are not quite as juicy as the one Tara used. So we've got a couple of limes. Now I'm going to season it up with garlic powder. It's probably about a quarter to a half a teaspoon. Onion powder. Touch of oregano. I'm going to add a dash of cumin. Mix up these seasonings. Now I'm going to add a little tomato juice just to cut the amount of oil we use, so we have enough to dress our salad. This going. Do salt. A bit of black pepper. Now we've still got adobo sauce right here. I'm just gonna take a touch of it. Just a touch, not even a quarter of a teaspoon. Just to put that in. Add a little bit of nice heat to that. Whenever I add heat, I like to add a touch of sweet. I'm just gonna put a drop of maple syrup in, just to balance it. Right there. We're gonna whisk this with olive oil, and that's gonna be it. This is gonna dress our salad. I'm gonna do maybe a quarter cup, and as I said, I added that tomato juice just to cut down on the amount of oil I use in the dressing, make it a little bit lighter. So this replicates some of the flavors in our main dish. It's gonna give us a nice bright salad dressing, a light vinaigrette, and we'll dress the salad as we serve the meal.
We are ready to take our enchiladas out. As you can see, whoop, the sauce is cooked through. We don't have any raw onion smell. We got some nice browning on the sides. This is exactly where we want to be. You can see those tortillas got nice and moist. We got a little bit of crisping on the sides, but nothing is burnt. We just got some nice brown flavor, and we're just gonna make some quick sour cream, and then we are ready to eat. So to top our enchiladas, we're just gonna do a really quick plant-based sour cream topping. And we're gonna start with some silken tofu. We've just lightly drained this. You don't have to really go too crazy pressing it or anything. It's silken tofu, so as you can see, it really just kind of falls apart anyway. And to that, we're gonna add some fresh squeezed lemon. And remember, we roll our citrus before we use it so that we can get those juices flowing. And got some seeds that we can see we're gonna pull out. And you wanna squeeze over your palm so that you catch those seeds. We don't want those. And this is gonna give us that acidic flavor that we're used to with sour cream, and it's gonna be nice and creamy, but all plant-based. So a couple good squeezes of that. And then we're also, just to sort of neutralize that soy flavor, we're gonna add just about a teaspoon of nutritional yeast. This has, you know, that sort of mild cheesy flavor. It's it'll give us it'll, like I said, it'll neutralize that soy flavor. So we're just gonna blend this in the blender. We have plenty of liquid from the lemon juice. Just wanna tamp it down, make sure we're mixing all those flavors in. And that's it. That's sour cream. And normally when you make this at home, you're gonna wanna make it a little bit ahead of time so that you can refrigerate it, because when you put it in the fridge, it's gonna get cold, it's gonna firm up, and it's gonna give you that sour cream flavor and texture that you're used to. But like we said, we're doing this plant-based. So we're gonna top that when we're ready to plate. We've taken our enchiladas out of the oven, and we ended up doing about 35 minutes covered and then another 10 uncovered. Every oven is different, so just pay attention to it. What you really want is you want to not have the raw onion smell by the time you're ready to take the foil off. As long as that raw smell is cooked out, then you're ready to take your foil off and get that nice brown color on top. So we're gonna take a couple of these guys out. They're not holding super great together. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but that's home cooking. So, but all the good flavors are there, and we know this is gonna taste good. So we're gonna plate this up. We have a couple enchiladas on the plate, and we're gonna hit it with some nice raw onion on top, red onion. It's nice and bright, but not too offensive, and some cilantro. I think there's two types of people in the world. There's people who like cilantro and people who are wrong. So do with that what you will. And we are also going to hit it with a little bit of our plant-based sour cream. And that is ready to eat. Enjoy.
So, now that we're getting ready to eat, we're just going to take the vinaigrette we whipped up, put it on our salad, and toss it up. I like to dress the salad right before dinner. I like when all the flavors meld, and as I said, we made a vinaigrette to match our dinner. So we matched the flavors of this meal. And that's beautiful.
So first off, that was amazing. But before we talk about the dish, I don't want to downplay where we are, and I kind of want to explain why we're finally together. And it really was wonderful being able to cook with someone again. I've talked a little bit about, and I've been careful to not get too much into it, but I've talked about why we eat this way, and what plant-based eating does for autoimmune, and which is one of the reasons why we've been so careful,
Right.
and not gotten together with any of y'all, which is why we could finally get together now, because we've had a good month of a whole lot of distancing. So, talk to me about what diet's done.
So when I decided to try a plant-based diet, I was basically at the end of my rope. I have multiple autoimmune conditions, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, fibromyalgia, all kinds of fun stuff. And the medications that are generally prescribed for those are terrifying. I mean, the side effects are not something that I personally was ready to, risk. And obviously this is not medical advice at all, but for me, I found a lot of relief removing animal products from my diet. And I have more energy, I sleep better at night, I have less pain, I generally feel so much better than I did 2 years ago. It's been really incredible. And to speak to the social distancing that we've been doing, we pretty much all quarantined for a good solid month so that we would be able to come here and do this tonight, because I've been hiding in my house and we've all been hiding in our collective houses, and not contacting other people. So
yeah, we take this very seriously, and it really has been. It's been 2 years of eating differently, but we've really worked hard to bring back familiar flavors and dishes, which we've done with this series. But it's been a big aspect of this to say, I miss this food. I don't miss the way I used to feel.
right.
And that's been so important. So
With the enchiladas, I mean, we just ate the hell out of some enchiladas.
yeah, they're gone.
And I am super full, but I'm not full to the point where I feel like I have to go to bed, which is one of my favorite things about eating plant-based is I can still eat a meal that is really satisfying and makes me feel full, but it doesn't give me that heavy feeling that I had when I was eating meat. And also, I keep saying enchiladas. This is my version of enchiladas. I know they're not authentic, don't at me. But still a pretty delicious dish.
It was delicious. Yeah, that was incredible. I mean, we've both said time and time again, we're better cooks now.
Absolutely.
We're having 2 years of looking at food and saying, what do I love about it? And we say all the time, it's flavor and texture, and flavor and texture, and they're the most important components of a dish. And we keep getting closer and closer to great flavor and great texture, and I mean, we eat well.
So well.
So
Well, and when we talk about this way of eating, I mean, for me at least, it wasn't going into it like, okay, look at what I can't have. It was actually, look at all the things I can have. There are tens of thousands of vegetables out there, and most of them are really delicious. So, and it's been so fun to work with instead of using the same 4 proteins all the time and trying to, manipulate them into having flavor.
It's like learning the nuances.
Vegetables come with flavor.
The nuances of all the different kinds of beans there are. There's way more kinds of beans than there are kinds of animals.
Right.
Way more. And they all give something different to a dish. And it's a lot of fun learning. It's been a lot of fun doing these videos. It's especially a lot of fun having somebody in the kitchen to cook with. And it's your birthday.
It is my birthday.
So happy birthday.
Thank you for sharing my birthday with me.
This was awesome, and we're gonna sing happy birthday and eat this pie. Pie is not part of the episode because I am not a baker, and God only knows. But we're gonna have a Dutch apple crumb pie.
It looks really good.
It looks good. It smells pretty good. We'll see. Thank you for joining us.